Hey, welcome back, everybody. Dronetek here. I have to apologize ahead of time just for putting you all through this, but you know, misery does love company, and if I got to go through this, I do feel a little bit better knowing that you're all going through it with me and experiencing the same thing. So today on The View, they are, for some reason, once again, letting Whoopi Goldberg just spew a bunch of nonsense. I guess they're not worried about it, but you may remember I've said, going back 20 years, if you follow me that long, that the left is particularly dangerous because they can rationalize anything. And here we have yet another glimmering example of that, where on the spew, Whoopi anyway, called for, and they all agreed, that Fox News should be prosecuted. The government should go in there, they should shut down Fox News, and then they should prosecute the journalists at Fox News for recruiting domestic terrorists. Yes, and that's what I mean by rationalizing. They want to shut somebody up they don't like, and so they just rationalize in their head, oh, we can do this because they're recruiting domestic terrorists. Completely insane, but you got to see for yourself. Here we go.
I have a question. Yeah. I have a question. How come this is not thought of as being recruiting? How come they're not thinking about like this as
Okay, so she's talking about Fox News, I guess this January 6th footage and putting it out. They keep accusing Fox and Tucker of lying. I don't know what they think they're lying about. They're just showing footage that these people apparently think should be hidden by the government. And so that's what's going on. And, you know, the First Amendment, that's what's going on. We have free speech in America, Whoopi.
Radicalizing. Why is this not being scrutinized the way that they scrutinize other things? Because to me, this...
Wait, the way they scrutinize other things. What, Whoopi, what are you talking about? I have no idea what she's talking about so far. Do you?
This should be against the law. You should not be able to lie to the American knowingly. And, you know, it's one thing if you made a mistake and you didn't know, but we heard for 5 or 6 years how, you know, the media was lying, sackadoo, they were fake news, they were this. So how come?
Those are opinions, Whoopi. Like, they always say this, how can you knowingly lie? Like, how does she know that people are knowingly lying? They're giving their opinions. Like, how do we know that she's not knowingly lying everything she's saying right now? You should be prosecuted, Whoopi, because you're knowingly lying right now. I somehow know, like, these people want us to live in the movie Minority Report. And, you know, I always say 1984, you know, that's pretty cliche at this point. But, you know, just the other day, Whoopi said that it's like 1984 that Tucker Carlson is showing this footage that up till now, the government, the Democrats, and the media have all been hiding this footage from the public. And now for Tucker to show it, she thinks is just like 1984, which makes no sense. In fact, her saying that is more like 1984 than anything Tucker's doing.
What do we do as Americans to say this is not okay?
You'd have to change the First Amendment.
Yeah. I think the First Amendment doesn't allow you to willingly lie.
First of all, it does actually. You can willingly lie with the First Amendment. Like, how are you going to police that? How do you know when someone's willingly lying or not? You can take a test for that sort of thing. But and then there's things like the Salem witch trials where they like dunked witches into the water, you know, until they told the truth. Like, this is getting into crazy territory, and you would think that somebody here on this show would have some sense to be like, let's tone this back. No, they go full bore. Here we go.
Can I just say one thing? I think Tucker Carlson is more destructive to American political discourse than Donald Trump, and I think he's more powerful.
I think they're all destructive because they lie willingly.
But this is a man who basically goes on his airwaves and says, you know, what would be so bad if Putin won against Ukraine? He says insane things.
Wait. All right. So I looked into this. She's on this show. They've said this before. I couldn't find anywhere Tucker saying that, those words anyway. I searched. I did find a couple of videos where Tucker's talking about the war and talking about the possible peace deals that could have been made before it got this far, and that people like Joe Biden actually stood in the way of that, and that instead of peace deals, that Biden was pushing regime change in Russia. Okay. And the reason Tucker has an issue with that is because he, like many of us, me included, are worried about this escalating to a point of World War III and then worldwide nuclear war. I don't know why people like this don't seem concerned about that at all. Maybe because they already have their bunker spots picked out. They already know that, you know, if it does go south, you know, they're going to be in an underground bunker somewhere, so they'll be fine. But, you know, Tucker has made clear in these pieces, you can go find them yourself, but he makes very clear in these that he's not pro-Putin. He's anti-war in this case, and he's right, because this can quickly escalate. It can quickly go out of control. And why aren't we looking for peace? People like this idiot, this moron, say that to suggest that is pro-Putin. You're pro-Russia. These people are just like those during the Iraq War. Back then, anytime people asked questions about the Iraq War, a lot of times they would get called pro-terrorist. Oh, you're not with us. You're with the terrorists. George W. Bush even said that. If you're not with us, you're with the terrorists. And at the time, it was widely mocked. But now today, apparently, it's back in style because it's the exact same thing.
Yes.
Pits Americans against each other, knowingly lying to them, and even if it's not.
I'm sorry, I keep stopping it. He pits them against each other. Really, like you're doing right now. That's the common theme about this entire thing. I'll kick it back here a little bit and replay it, but you're going to notice a common theme, and it's going to be the usual lack of self-awareness. Let me just kick it back a little bit.
And allow you to willingly lie.
That's their defense. Can I just say one thing? I think Tucker Carlson is more destructive to American political discourse than Donald Trump, and I think he's more powerful.
I disagree. I think you guys are
destructive because they lie willingly.
But this is a man who basically goes on his airwaves and says, you know, what would be so bad if Putin won or against Ukraine? He says insane things. He pits Americans against each other, knowingly lying to them, and even if it's not Trump, whoever the next Republican politician is, they're going to have to win the Tucker Carlson primary.
He's just an entertainer, though.
He's not the newsman.
The judge found that. But Whoopi, you just said something I don't think I've ever heard.
These people are just entertainers. Like, again, I'm sorry, but over and over again, we're seeing that the things they're accusing Tucker of, you could easily accuse them of. But somehow they have absolved themselves from these standards. They're not worried that the standards that they now want to apply, they want to use the government to shut down Fox News, one of their competitors, and the administration's biggest critics. Okay, they want the government to come in and shut that down and then prosecute the journalists at Fox News. Like, that is completely insane. Like, the one network out there that is really critical of this administration and the left's ideology in general, let's shut that down, silence it forever, and then imprison the people who worked at Fox. That's literally what they want to do. But if we then turn that around on them and then said that we want to imprison them for the things they say, do you think they'd be like, oh yeah, that totally would all, you know, the studio audience all be applauding like trained seals? I doubt it.
No, rarely.
About domestic terrorism.
Yes.
Because you had the FBI director, Chris Wray, say the #1 threat to our country, to the survival of our democracy, is domestic terrorists. How do you recruit domestic terrorists? How do you do that? Misinformation. Having these kinds of rallies, saying these things in Substacks. And someone with Tucker Carlson, you would know better than I do, how many millions and millions of viewers? We get 3 million on this show. That's a lot.
He's the most watched man in cable news.
He gets more than that.
So, and then, it's a clip from Newsbusters. I mean, it seems like that's what's really bothering them. The fact that Tucker Carlson gets way more views, way more audience than them. Get rid of Tucker Carlson, and then somehow they'll get that audience. I don't know. It just seems completely wild that these women who on multiple occasions have told lies themselves, and it's well documented. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Whoopi was saying that white people need to get beat up. She went out and said, oh, maybe white people need to get beat up by police. You think maybe that might recruit some extremists to go out and do what you're bidding, what you just called for? Or how about when The View backed up AOC, when AOC was calling ICE facilities concentration camps? Joy Behar and the rest of The View backed her up and even went further, saying that Trump was moving towards exterminating illegal immigrants, right? But then there were attacks on ICE facilities by left-wingers. Okay, so they were spreading misinformation on The View that literally led to terrorist attacks on ICE facilities. But do you think that the standard that they've now set up should be applied to them? Of course not. And that's what's so dangerous about these people. honestly do not put it past them someday, soon even, to start calling for the mass arrest, the mass rounding up of all of us who say things that they don't like. And they'll tell themselves that, oh, no, this is okay because I'm stopping terrorism. If I just lock up all these people who are saying these things that I don't like, which they never confront either. I mean, look, the Republican on their show just said that it doesn't matter who replaces Trump. They're going to be worse than Hitler, which is true. That's the way it goes back to George W. Bush, who they claim to love now, but he was everything they call Trump now back then. Same with Romney, and the same with McCain. They just do it with whoever the prominent figure is. All right, folks, that's all I have for that one. Thanks for watching. Please, if you enjoyed it, hit that like button, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and then, as always, make sure to leave a comment to continue the discussion. Thanks a lot. I'll see you all in the next one.